Alright guys, welcome to my Resurgence card review. I'm going to be going through all the Resurgence cards that revealed for part 1, giving my thoughts on them, hopefully getting some thoughts from you guys as well. Hopefully that's going to be really cool. So I'm going to get to hear your thoughts, and I can tell the community what you guys think of them, any thoughts you have about them being in different decks and stuff. I haven't read all the reveals myself. I was playing a match while they were spoiled, so some of these cards are going to be quite new to me as well. So yeah, this is exciting times. We've got some cool stuff ahead of us. I already saw a yellow flying card. I'm hyped for some yellow flying. I'm a big fan, as you guys would have seen me playing on my own stream. But yeah, let's take a look at these cards. I am pretty excited to see what comes first. So we'll start off right at the top of the cards that are spoiled. So we have Tower of Curses, which is going to be the 4 Faeria 4 Wild. Structure. Activate. Give a creature -1/-1. Deal 1 damage to this. Now, power reduction is a very strong mechanic in Faeria that hasn't been fully utilized within the design space yet. We've had cards like Emperor's Command, which has been very good. You know, we had a resurgence of Emperor's Command in certain metas just to answer cards like the Shaitan Assassin. So when like Green Edo Sacrifice is popular, Emperor's Command tends to sneak back into decks as kind of a tech. But yeah. Tower of Curses, you know, given that power reduction, as I like to call it, giving a creature -1/-1, so you can dodge stuff like protection. Like I said, Shaitan Assassin can soak up a damage before you can deal direct damage to it with its protection ability, so being able to reduce the stats, it's very interesting. And what's really nice about this card for me is its accessibility to a lot of different decks. It's a 4 wild card, so if you're looking to, you know, put in a bit of removal in an archetype that doesn't quite have access to it in its colors, this could give you that. So yeah, it's another tower added to the lineup of towers that already exist. You know, we have Derelict Tower, we have Sunken Tower, so it's nice to see the towers come back. Isn't this tower underpowered? Not necessarily. I wouldn't say so. It's 4 Faeria 4 life, so it's 1 Faeria for -1/-1. So the value is pretty much even. Like, you pay 4 Faeria, you gain -4/-4, as long as the tower isn't interacted with. So it's actually at its base level, it's a flat rate. For Faeria, which is pretty good, right? You can't really argue with that. 4 wild is a little expensive. Maybe it'll only see its place in control decks, but who knows? You know, I'm excited to see how this card works. Right? I mean, you could run Emperor's Command with it. And another thing that this does, it offers kind of the flexibility. A flexibility that Overgrow Tower has, in a way that you can, you know, clear creatures by reducing their power instead of powering up your own guy. So with Overgrown Tower, like someone was saying, it's like +1/+1. With Tower of Curses, it's -1/-1. So maybe your creatures will live during an exchange. But yeah, I think this card is solid. I think it's a good rate. It's a good rate of value. Imperial Outpost is the next card. Buff to Chaos memes. That is true, Safeword. This is actually an indirect buff to Emperor Chaos. If you need to trigger off its production ability, so Emperor Chaos, if you don't know, if a creature has 0 attack, it just dies. And Emperor Chaos's production ability gives a -1/-1 like global. So this actually has synergy with the old Emperor Chaos, the one before he went really mad and really powerful, when he tried to absorb some powers from the old Tree of Everlife. But yeah, Imperial Outpost is the next card. All friendly neutral creatures have +1/+0. Oh my goodness. Steamforge, you're right, mate. This is the new Steamforge. A little more expensive because it gives immediate reward. So like Steamforge would give you power-ups over time, but of course like, this gives an immediate reward to it. So maybe, just maybe, for all you Neutral Rush fans out there, we might see a bit of a buff to old Neutral Rush. This card will be also excellent in Pandora, depending on the draft as well. But yeah, Imperial Outpost looks pretty cool. You know, just give your face man +1 attack. Who doesn't want a 5 attack face man? Everyone wants a 5 attack face man. Drake Riders becoming 6/6s. It's not bad as well. But yeah, 2 Faeria, 2 life, good rate. Good Faeria for life ratio there. And has a global power up. Nice. Not much really to say about this card. It really much depends on the resurgence of neutral cards. But yeah, pretty good so far. Let's have a look at the next bunch of cards. Alright, the legendary neutrals. Now, I'm really excited about both of these neutrals. And we have had these spoiled already. We had 2 community members cover these cards in the YouTube videos. You can find them in like Faeria Friday and stuff and over on the Discord if you want to check them out. But Radiant Scourge of Oversky. Radiant's just causing trouble. This airship needs to go down, and maybe a giant bird ship can do it. I don't know. Fight fire with fire, right? They have a giant mechanical monolith of a ship. The heroes of the Oversky decided, you know what, we're going to get a giant bird and strap a ship to it, and then we're going to fight it. But as a 10/10, you know, retaining its flavor, you know, Radiance in its previous form before it became a Scourge and it was just glorified public transport. It's a 10/10/10 Faeria 4 wild, so not too expensive on the wild cost. It's mainly on the Faeria cost. Flying, pretty good. No dash this time, so not as mobile. It looks like it's kind of crashing to me. I don't know, maybe it's going down, maybe it got hit by a bird or something. A bird got in the turbine and now it's going out of control. Enemy creatures can't move or attack next to. Now, this is the stall card that maybe Control needs. It's non-interactive, people are saying, but, you know, Control isn't the strongest of archetypes in Faeria. You know, Russian mid-range have always kind of been the big daddies. We've had moments where Control have been really strong. Like, Green Yellow Sacrifice has been one of the stronger Control decks in Faeria's lifespan. But giving, like, greedy decks a way to kind of just stall out, I think it's pretty cool. You know, I've shifted over to a Control player in the recent times, so I'm probably a bit biased. But, yeah, this is a very powerful gift, and you're paying 10 Faeria for it. Now, Mono Blue is probably going to get the most out of this. Like S of Dawn is saying, like Dream Reaver decks, for example, going to have a really big impact. But yeah, 10/10 that just stalls. It's kind of like a backwards Ocarina, sorry. A backwards Ocarina. Like Ocarina, the treasure in Pandora, gives you an extra turn. This kind of takes the turn away from your opponent in some respects. But yeah, looks pretty strong to me. Mono Blue seems like the one deck that will get the most out of this. But to be fair, I feel this card could probably see itself in other Control decks. It's just getting to 10 Faeria that's pretty tough, you know. Being able to drop this down for 10 Faeria could be pretty difficult for some decks. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So what's next? Destructive Volley, so neutral removal. Oh my goodness. Green can deal 2 damage now without Spider. It can run Spider and this. Blue can deal 2 damage now and get some extra out of it if it wants to kill a flying creature. So Destructive Volley, 3 Faeria, deal 2 damage to a creature. If it is a flying creature, deal 5 damage instead. So this just nukes Windborn Champion. Poor Windborn Champion. It finally got a break, and now it's just going to die to a free Faeria card. Feels bad, guys. But deal 2 damage for 3 Faeria. Not the best rate. You can, you know, Cypher's Wrath for 2. You can Soul Drain for 2. There's Punishment. Punishment's very similar, but seems more useful. Very much depends on if our Imperial Outpost influences neutral archetypes. It very much depends on if flying creatures become meta. It's a it's a tech card. Rush is just saying it is a tech card. It does offer a bit of flexibility to blue, which don't have access to removal like that. But then again, like I said, punishment exists and they're not running punishment. So will blue run this instead? Very much depends on where the meta goes. So not much to say about this. 3 Faeria, 2 damage. 5 damage is where you get the most value out of it. The bang for your buck, you could say. But yeah, Destructive Volley. Who knows? Tech card. We'll have to see if the meta influences this card and brings it into some decks. Alright, this card is probably the most interesting one I've seen so far. 6 Faeria, 4 wild, 3/7, flying. Cards in your hand are wild. Now that line of text is beautiful. That is probably one of the most beautiful line of text I've seen in Faeria ever. That is amazing. Gift. Add a random Gagana crew member to your hand. It costs 0. So there's a magnitude of cards that can come from this ability. Now, I like it has an additional effect because this dies to Choking Sands. It's not a good rate if you kill this with Choking Sands, but it does kind of make up for it depending on what crew member. It would be much better if you could pick the crew member added. Yeah, I would like that. That'd be really cool, actually. That's a really good suggestion. But it is random, so it adds a bit of variance. So you're not just picking out the Triton Banquet when you need the mobility. Or you're not picking out, say, the Recohen Reveler if you're playing green-red like I would be. Let me just get the list of cards. Just bear with me one moment. There is a list over on a friend of ours' channel. Let me just find that. So we had a beautiful review from our friend Matrion. In a very beautiful location, actually. Wherever Matrion lives, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I want to live there too. So this card can create a 0-cost Cartographer, Hunted Outlaw. I'm looking at US. We have another way to make the combo mill deck more consistent, sort of, I guess. So yeah, Cartographer, Hunted Outlaw, Storyteller. More mill cards out of Dawn. We get more mill cards. Tiki Piper, Triton Shaft, Recohen Shieldmates, and Recohen Reveler. So I feel this card gives actually a bit of everything. Like, maybe a Recohen deck could use this card in efforts to find another Recohen. Future Triton decks could use this. If the Triton archetype gets buffed up, which I hope it does, because I love Tritons. Tiki Piper, Storyteller, Hunted Outlaw, and Cartographer are probably the most, you know, situational, I would say. Well, actually, I don't know. I would say, like, Storyteller, Hunted Outlaw, and Cartographer are the most situational pulls off the Rainbow Bird ship. But, like, Reveler's really useful anyway. It's a good rate for a card. Shieldmates, also very good. And they also become wild while this bird is alive, and they cost 0, so you can play it immediately to make sure you can play it. Triton Chef could be very good as well, offers mobility. Tiki Piper offers life. So there's a lot of different things that you can get from this, which is pretty good. So I feel that this card offers a lot of flexibility to decks. I feel it can be splashed in a lot of things. You know, it's a 3/7, it's pretty bulky, you can fly, makes all the cards in your hand wild, so if you don't have all the lands ready for your deck to get set up, you can do stuff. And like I said, that first line of text, the cards in your hand are wild, just opens up so many possibilities if you can keep this bird alive. But as you can see, Destructive Volley is right next to it, so this bird is being targeted. And actually in the Destructive Volley artwork, it looks like they shot it in the butt. That's really sad. So yeah, just getting shot in the butt there. Gagana. This, like, people are saying this is the meme card, but I don't know. I'm pretty hyped for this card. This is my favorite card I've seen so far. Like I said, the first line of text, if I could keep this alive and build like some fantasy rainbow deck of mine and just like be able to play everything, it'd be sick. But it needs to be restricted. So I understand it. But yeah, that's gonna be those neutrals. Any good comments there? Interesting. Okay. Okay. Hello, Enslave Priest. This poor priest has been enslaved by the corruption, and it's very thematic as well. 3 Faeria, 2 free, and it isn't had any wildland restrictions. You can actually play this turn 1. That's always good. Whenever a creature you control triggers a corrupt ability, you drain 2 life from your opponent. Okay, so we got a bit of burn going on here, and it says drain 2 life, so that's actually a heal. So you heal 2 life and you deal 2 damage. It's a free Faeria, non-wild, so it means you can actually play it turn 1, which is great. That's pretty cool. I like this card. So this gives this gives like a corrupt archetype. Like if you're using a lot of corrupt cards, you now have a very solid neutral game creature that you can play in the early game and also play late game. It's a bit like a Blood Singer. So yeah, it's interesting. It depends how much corrupt you really want to put in your deck. A better Malevolent Spirit, yes. Nice collector. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So this is pretty solid. If you're playing a lot of corrupt cards in your deck, you probably get a lot of mileage out of this. Early collector as well. No wildland restrictions. You drain life, so you gain life as well. It's a good little heal. I like it. I'm curious to see how this card fits into decks and how it fits into the overall meta. Chosen the Sky Eater, another big boy legendary here. 5 wild. I've seen this card already. Fly and charge free, so very mobile. The first time chosen would kill a creature in combat, instead swallow it and gain control of it. So when this guy literally eats cards and it becomes yours. So this card has a lot of potential to just devour threats and bring them under your control. Now there's not a lot of cards in the game. There's not a lot of cards in the game that steal creatures, like Aurora's Trick. Spirit Theft kind of steals, but it creates a whole new card. But this card literally eats it, and it's got charge free. It's got charge free, this is mobile, and it can collect Faeria, so it's not like Moby. Moby doesn't collect any Faeria. This card can collect Faeria as well. But it needs to kill a creature in combat and then it can swallow it. So it does need to be active for a turn. So the way I imagine this card works is, let's say you hit a Cipher, right? You hit a Cipher with it. You have 1 life remaining, and it eats it, so it swallows it. So when Chosen dies, when the Cipher comes out of Chosen, it is yours. It belongs to you now. It's your creature. So this would happen with any creature. So Chosen needs to survive the combat because it won't be able to swallow, I imagine. Right? That's actually a good interaction to think about, because let's say Chosen kills a guy but trades. Does a swallow trigger? Does a swallow still trigger? I doubt it does. I would imagine Chosen actually has to live in order to swallow the creature and then it to be in its belly and then convert to the dark side. I feel this is just a very, again, just like a very solid control card, really. This is like a card that red control would love. It's just like, they already have Baldarian, but then just add this to the mix as well. So it has to live in order to keep the creature that it stole. So that's a good little check for the card. It's not just trading with stuff and then just stealing the creature. If it traded with something, it wouldn't steal it anyway, would it? Because the other creature would die. So that makes no sense. So yeah, okay. So it needs to live in order to keep the swallow creature. A bit of a check in the card's power level. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm curious to see how strong this card is. It very much depends on exactly like how people can answer this, I suppose. It needs to stay on the board for a turn. That's always another thing as well. It doesn't have Divine, so it can be targeted by removal. It's a pretty good rate, 6 Faeria for a 6/6 with charge-free flying. Like, the stats line up with the Faeria cost. But because of its wildland restriction, it might just see itself in slower decks. So yeah, very interesting. This is a card like, why not make it a 6/5 so then it gets shot down, it gets shot in the butt? like the bird. Acidon already wants to shoot this card in the butt. Can't help himself. But yeah, that's pretty cool. We'll have to see. 5 lands is not slow. We don't see a lot of land ramp these days. I don't know. Mono yellow, mono red, mono green. Yeah, these are the type of cards that are going to utilize it, but we'll see. Like, we'll have to see how strong this card is when it comes out tomorrow. Alright. Alright, yellow cards. More corruption. 4 Faeria, 1 wild, 2 desert, 3/6 corrupt. Increase the cost of each card in your opponent's hand by 1. This card is like... this card just doesn't want you to play anything. This card wants to lock out those options and make your life more awkward. Now, this card is good. I think it's solid. It has good stats for its cost. It's not too expensive on the land cost. It does need its corruption to get the most out of it, but the corruption ability will only really have its power reflected on how big your opponent's hand is or what your opponent actually has in hand. So, I don't know, like, I feel this card could be solid if it hits, like, key cards. Like, it very much depends what it hits, right? So, if your opponent has, say, 6 Faeria, or 5 Faeria, and then they have a 7-cost card in a 6-cost card in hand, they can +1 and play it, right, with no collectors. But if you're able to push that up to +1 Faeria, it could actually just mess up their turn. So this is like Dreamkeeper's worst nightmare. If a Dreamkeeper helps you in your dreams, this definitely causes nightmares. I feel this card can be really strong. It feels like a control card, but maybe other archetypes get use out of it. Like I said, it still is corrupt. It doesn't have any mobility. Dies to choke in sands, but has a lot of life. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm very curious to see how this card plays into the meta, because I feel this card could be very strong in a control environment. Just punishing these really strong, even big hands. And like Dawn is saying, like, the stats alone are really good for 4 Faeria. These are the exceptional stats for 4 Faeria. The corrupt ability, we'll have to see how much mileage it gets, and it'll very much depend on what's in your opponent's hand, you know, the board state, you know, how much 1 Faeria increase really matters in the grand scheme of things. Choking Sands is still a 1-for-1. That's actually really good shout there, Tofu. So even if this gets Choking Sands, it's still a trade in Faeria. So that's really good. This is a really strong card. But yeah, 6 life is going to be durable, and it's going to you're going to have to stop this from getting its corrupt if you want to protect your hand and you want to protect your resources. All right, let's move on to the next one. Blightborn Spectre, 5 Faeria, 2 Desert, 3/6, another 3/6. I see a theme here. Ghosts tend to be 3/6s. Charge 2. So no flying, so it can't fly, so it does have charge. Production. If your opponent has 4 or more cards in hand, this gains +1/+1. Okay, I'm just gonna go back to the rate for a minute. This has Rapala synergy. You can fill their hand with ruby fish and then make them all cost 1 more. How miserable is that for your opponent? There's a handful of ruby fish that cost 2. They're not even good value anymore. They're not only 1 Faeria for 1/4. It's 2 Faeria. Anyway, Blightborn Spectre, production. If your opponent has 4 or more cards in your hand, this gains +1/+1. So again, another card with Rapala synergy. This has production, so it needs to kind of be around for a turn before it gets its trigger. Going up to a 4/7. So it does dodge Choking Sands in that respect. So this will just get bigger as your opponent's hand stays big. The Dustbringer Wraith kind of synergizes with this, so you're increasing the cost of your opponent's hand to make sure they can keep cards in hand to empower the Blightborn Spectre. So it looks like the yellow kind of design direction right now is kind of like this kind of hand interaction, making your opponent's hands harder to play in order to gain rewards with other cards. Now, I feel like the Dustbringer Wraith is just the stronger of the two, just because of its effect and its kind of stat lines for its Faeria cost. The Blightborn Spectre has like synergies with it, but it very much depends on how... It's a bit more situational than Dustbringer or Wraith, because as long as you trigger the corruption and your opponent has a card in hand, you will get value, whereas the Blightborn Spectre only gets the value if your opponent has a, you know, like a handful of cards. So the Blightborn takes a lot more setup, whereas the Dustbringer, like I said, just gets kind of immediate value just based on its stats alone. If you get the corrupt ability off as well, you're in the money. You're just at 11 life at that point. To me, the Dustbringer definitely seems like a meta-shaping card. Very interesting. Very interesting design direction for Dustbringer. Hand interaction is something that digital card games don't experiment with a lot, and it's nice to see that experimentation coming into Faeria right now. So next line of cards here, more yellow cards. Haunted Husk, a structure. 1 Faeria, 2 Desert. If your opponent has 4 or more cards in hand, draw 1 card and drain 1 life from your opponent. So more synergy built around this hand kind of disruption strategy built into the current yellow cards. So this synergizes with just 2 of the cards we saw. You get to draw a card, so it's kind of like Yellow's own library. Yellow gets their own version of library in some respects. They just don't gain the Faeria, they just drain some life. So a bit of sustain there. I feel there's like a yellow control deck in the making here. You know, yellow already has access to hard removal anyway, so they have access to some of the best removal in the game. They have a lot of good economy cards. This just gives them card draw now. So I really like this card. Like Esadorn is saying, good cost, 1 Faeria for a free life structure. That's just such a good rate. Yeah, and if you can get 1 trigger off this, you're laughing. You're basically playing 1 Faeria for drain 1 life and draw a card. So really good. Like this is a really cool card. I like the synergies between these kind of like these wraiths and these ghosts and kind of the haunting. This is probably the after effects of all the meddling that Chaos has been doing up in the Oversky. You know, creating these dark creatures of spectral beings. But yeah, not much to say about this card really, other than, you know, its obvious synergies, the obvious value you generate from it as long as you trigger it once. Has good life as well. Emperor's Command, we're looking at you, you're going to be back. Alright, flying cards, yes, this is what I want to see. Barren Sky Vulture, 4 Faeria, 4 Desert, Beast synergy. Hunt down, guys, more removal. Flying, Gift, destroy a creature with 1 life and drain its attack. Huh. Destroy a creature with 1 life and drain its attack. So this is interesting because it's almost asking that you combo other cards with it, like Soul Drain, maybe the new Tower. It's a 4 Desert card, so it's pretty pricey. It is hard removal, it does have hard removal built into it, but it's very situational hard removal. Same for Wilderneck was saying no hunt down with 4 deserts. It's not that bad. Really, it's 1 forest to get access to Hunt Down. It's just, is it worth it? That's another thing. Like, maybe you can 2-for-1 with this card with Hunt Down. But, I don't know. It's very situational removal. Whereas, like, Yellow has access to so many good removal cards within the core set anyway. Will this make the cut over something like Wind Soldier? Or Choking Sand? Soul Drain? Spirit Theft? I don't know. Like, maybe in Yellow Flyers, maybe this could synergize with some Yellow Flyers. Like the new Tower as well could have some synergies with that. We're starting to see Emperor's Command come back. Like, could synergize with that. So yeah, I don't know. It has beast synergies. It has synergy with Yellow removal. It could just be that extra little push you need to kill a guy. But at the moment, not looking too strong. I'd be curious to see where it finds its place in decks. Alright, we're getting to the... I believe this is the last of the yellow cards and some of the dual color cards. So Barren Sky Vermin, another beast. And this is a This is a 2 desert, 1 Faeria, 1/1 gift. Fight your opponent? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yellow Rush can now trigger Kaleem's Prayer. Without even being next to the face. Oh my goodness. This is a buff 2 rush, I feel. It's a way to get prayer going. It's a way to get... You actually can play this for free as far as cost concerned if you have a Sagittarius out. Because it will refund. You'll get that 1 Faeria back. So, yeah, Baron Sky, these cards. So it's just 1v1 me. So Baron Sky Vermin wants to fight gods. The Baron Sky Vermin is not interested in fighting mere creatures. He wants to fight gods themselves. I respect that. He's a very brave creature, that's for sure. But triggering off the prayer, buffing Crusaders, gaining Faeria off Sagittarius. Lots of good little buffs there for Yellow Rush. Yellow Rush has kind of fallen off recently, so maybe this is just a way to make sure that Yellow Rush gets its economy engine going. Especially now we know that prayer is going to be nerfed, so maybe that's with this card in mind. Interesting. Okay, not much else to say about this card, I don't think. Thunder Eel. 6 Faeria, 2 Mountain, 2 Desert. Flying. Gift. Deal 2 damage to a creature. If it is on an ocean space, deal 4 damage instead. I really like how thematic this card is. It's an eel. It's electrocuted stuff. If you're in the ocean, you're taking more damage. Now it is 6 Faeria. It is a 6/4. It deals 2 damage when it comes in. So that's not bad. Like it can guarantee 2 damage when it comes in. So it can pick off something. It's a little expensive, I feel. Mainly 6 Faeria to 6/4. It trades with Ground Shaker, at least. Like it does actually challenge a lot of this, that 5/6 kind of threshold of 6 Faeria creatures. So it does challenge them. It's a little expensive on lands. It can be another punish to flying creatures. If flying does get really strong, it does give red-yellow some kind of additional removal options. It's a little overcosted, I think. And I think, yeah, chat is saying it's a little overcosted. But it very much depends on how the meta shapes around these new flying cards. Given answers to them. So the answers are being printed, at least. If it's maybe this is kind of like a preemptive attack against potential flying threats. Against something like Shozen. Like Shozen's a 6/6. You only need an extra 2 damage with it to finish it off. So who knows? So yeah, it's okay. I think it very much depends how powerful flying cards come in. And very much the same with the Birdshot card. Destructive Volley, I believe, is the name. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, Destructive Volley. So again, much like Destructive Volley, it will depend on kind of like how the flying cards affect the meta. Alright. 2 Faeria, 4 Desert, 3/3 Vile Bloatfly. Flying Corrupt. Add a Vile Bloatfly to your hand. I really like this card. This card is awesome. So this card creates tremendous value if it triggers its Corrupt, because you just get another one back. That's awesome. Now, if you were to use this card in combination with something like Drakkar Sky Captain, like you'd only get the 4/4 on the Vile Bloatfly. So the copy you create with this Corrupt would only be a 3/3. So that's something to consider if you're looking at these flying cards. But it does kind of create this kind of strong form, maybe of inevitability. If your opponent can't handle like the corruptions over and over again, you can just create this massive hand. It's a 2 Faeria 3/3 as well, so its stats are really good for its Faeria cost. It just has a very high desert cost. Yeah, someone's saying it's like a slow clock, right? It does create this kind of form of inevitability if you can get those triggers going off and off and off, and then your opponent deals with it, and you play another one, and that corrupts, and you deal with it. You could even chuck in 3 lakes, and you could Aurora's Creation it and create even more. Who knows? Yeah, it's like a snowball card. It's a card that if you don't respect it, it's going to get out of hand. And I feel like the land cost really helps like check this card, which is cool. I'm excited about this card. And like I said, you need to trigger the corrupt in order to get its full effect. It's good value for 2 Faeria anyway, but it doesn't. You don't really get the bang for your buck unless you trigger that corrupt ability, and that's what people are going to be looking for when you play this card. You're going to want to get that corrupt. But yeah, I like this card a lot. It's one of my favorites so far. Pretty cool. All right, let's move on. Alright, red cards now. Another beast. More beasts coming into the fray here. 6 Faeria, 3 mountain. Combat. Deal 2 damage to all adjacent enemies. Combat. So Recurocopter, I was a big fan of. This is the combat variant. This is very cool. You know, this is a way to trigger off multiple times. Gift of Steel obviously buffs this. I don't know where Gift of Steel will lie in the future with this card, but Hippo can kill Verdant Force on its own. This card can kill Colossus on its own as well. I think it's strong. I think it's a strong card. It has beast synergy as well. The combat trigger will go off from a hunt down. Right, so if you position you can position your hippo around creatures, hunt down something in the distance, and then trigger the combat around it. I'm right, yeah. That works. So there's ways to really push the value of this combat trigger. Hunt down again, you know, another card. Just triggering AoE effects off the hippo. That's pretty cool. Evil, chat is saying. Evil card. Oh my goodness. And it has boar synergy. It's 5 life. It helps that ancient boar. It's pretty cool, guys. It's pretty cool. Okay. Not really much to say else about this. I think this is just a very strong card. Beast synergy. And speaking of beasts, the next card. 5 Faeria Beast Trainer. 1 mountain, 2 wild. Gift, reduce the cost of a random beast in your hand by 5. It's a free. So straight away, really strong beast synergy. Basically, beasts are going for the bargain. This beast trainer, he got all his tips from the Bold Bargainer. He now knows how to sell beasts on the black market. And yeah, you're going to get your beast at a cheap price. You want a kitten? 1 Faeria. That's all it's going to cost you. 0 Faeria. If you want a hippo? 1 Faeria. Who wouldn't buy a hippo for 1 Faeria? So this card's really strong. Lots of great synergies already. Like your Shifting Octopus will become 0. Ancient Boar will become base cost 0. Like there's lots of great beasts in the game already that it can synergize with. It looks like Red wants to taste that beast archetype. It is random, so like I said, it has that kind of bargain-esque kind of flavor to it. It has an aspect of variance to it. So the variance is going to affect, you know, the cost reduction. Crackthorn, Salamander, one of my favorite cards. Get to reduce the Salamander. I think this card's going to be very strong. It is 5. So as long as you reduce a beast by 5 Faeria, this kind of pays for itself, right? That's the idea. You're basically getting a free for nothing and reducing a beast in hand by 5. So as long as this hits the right beast and you get that full 5 reduction, this card actually generates tremendous amounts of value. Now the variance does kind of affect things depending on what beast you run. So if you hit a Deepwood Stalker, you won't get the most value out of it, but you'll still get, what, free? This will still be a 2 Faeria free. That's pretty good. I don't know. That's pretty good. This card seems very strong, guys. And beasts are back in town. Well, the beasts are already here, but now they're getting even stronger. And Red wants a slice of the pie. It's all been green, blue so far, but red wants in. These look like very meta-defining cards, or at least gonna create a new archetype. Okay. The Ignace boys. Or the Ignace boys are here. So one of the new themes for red is using the power wheel. I love this card, so again, one of my favorites from the reveal so far. The Ignace Ritualist, 4 Faeria, 3 Mountain, 3/3. Refresh your power wheel, corrupt, refresh your power wheel. This has so much synergy with Ignace. But not only that, you get to draw additional cards. Like this card is like a toolbox. You can pick whatever you want. You can have a land, you can have more Faeria, you can draw a card. You need to ramp your lands up, play a mountain, play this guy, play another mountain. Oh, draw a card, play this guy, draw another card, whatever you need. The Ritualist has it for you off that power wheel. It's really good. It's just really good. It's decent stats for its cost. Not great. Not quite a 3/6 like we've seen from some of the yellow creatures. But the fact you get the refresh your power wheel is very strong. And it has a corrupt ability as well. So even after this card's been played, you need to respect it. Because that power wheel could be dangerous. It's resources. It's lands. It's Faeria. It's card draw. Resources that you don't want to give to your opponent. So this card has immediate gratification when you play it. You gain something when you play it. When it corrupts, you gain even more. Buy one, get one free. This is a card of value. Very strong. It's gonna really help red a lot in its control. Red control is already very good. But it does give red control another way to go down, another route to take, which is nice. It's not just gonna all be axe grinders and ground shakers now. We could potentially seeing more. Ignace Euladi's Medallion OTK finally viable? Who knows? S of Dawn, get on it. That's your first job for tomorrow. You get on that. You get on that Ignace train. Alright, next card. We have an event card for red. 6 Faeria, 3 Mountain. Deal 4 damage randomly, split among enemies. So very thematic of Ignace already. Costs 1 less for each time you've selected +1 from the power wheel this game while in your hand or deck. So it has that very kind of same mechanic as the Zealous Crusaders and, you know, the Soul Eaters of the world. So the Ritualist does synergize with this already. Ignace, of course, synergizes with this. Does 4 damage randomly, so does have a strong level of variance to it. Much like Ignace itself, like I said, very thematic. I'm not sure how useful this will be. It very much depends how much you can get out of it, I guess. I don't know. This is a card. This is definitely a card I need to see in action before I'm sold on it. You know, a lot of chat are saying they don't think this card's even playable, but like I said, it could be okay. It could be okay. It just very much depends on how much you can get this reduced. I feel like this should be a 5 Faeria card, maybe a 4 Faeria card. Because it is random. 6 Faeria seems a bit overcosted for its effect, but it very much depends on how all this Ignace synergy blends together. The Ritualist obviously would push it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. So yeah, this is a card I'm gonna have to see on the battlefield before I make my decisions. But yeah, okay, it's okay for now. We'll have to see how it is in action. So the final lot of cards, the red cards, Flame Stoker, 5 Faeria, 3 Mountain, 4/4. Whenever you select +1 from your power wheel, this gains +1/+1. So this has synergy with Wrath of Ignace. It encourages use of the +1 on your power wheel, much like Ignace himself, his buddy, maybe his pet dog, or was once a dog and then caught on fire. It's kind of cute, isn't it? The little creature, whatever it is. But yeah, it just encourages the synergy within the new red strategy. So yeah, gain +1. Game +1/+1, so you could play like Flame Stoker, and then you could like +1 play Ritualist +1, and it becomes a 6/6 for 5 Faeria. And you gain that Faeria anyway. So, like, using the +1's not even bad. +1 Faeria is such a powerful option on the wheel anyway. So I'm interested to see what this card has to offer. It has all that synergy with the Ignace. Gonna have to really try it out to see where it lies, kind of in its power level. It very much depends on how all the other Ignace cards kind of synergize together and how powerful they become, because this is like a pure kind of like tribe card in a way. If you could say Ignace was a tribe, this is where it would belong. You might see it in other red decks, but I doubt it. Like, would you play this over a Ground Shaker or an Axe Grinder? Probably not. But it could snowball if it's not checked, so you do need to respect it. The last card on the list, Cobbled Smuggler. Corrupt. 5 Faeria 1, Mountain 5/3. So it has Angry synergy. Corrupt. Summon a 4/3 Cypher's Fodder in a random adjacent land. So this is an angry buff, right? It's given that angry archetype a bit more to work with. It dies to a lot. It dies to Flame Burst. It dies to Wind Soldier. Again, this corruptibility is going to be a challenge in some matchups, but if it does get its corruptibility on, oh, it's just crazy value. Crazy value. You get two very strong heavy hitters that have synergies with Firebringer, which have synergies with Hate Seed. So this is a good way to reduce that Hate Seed even better. It's one mountain as well, so it's very easy to splash into Rush. Red Rush, red mid-range. It has a lot of synergy with kind of red in those two archetypes, which I really like about this card. And if you get that Cypher's Fodder as well, you are laughing, you are loving life. You're getting in the gift effect from Cypher's Fodder as well when it dies, so that's 2 damage. You're getting 4/3 stats. So you're essentially gaining 9/6 for 5 Faeria. And then 2 cost reductions on the Hate Seeds, and then 2 power-ups on the Firebringers. Very good. So this is a great buff to Angry. Angry got a bit of love last set with the little sprite, and I really like that sprite, and I did try to make most of it, but Angry was still missing some key components to really get going. The Cobbled Smuggler definitely going to be a powerful inclusion in the red archetype. The Eel as well, actually, the Thunder Eel also synergizes with Angry, so red, yellow, Angry is something that could work. I know Heavy is a big fan of red, yellow, Angry and has tried it in many different versions of Faeria. It's been okay, but with a bit more, you know, with a bit of a push, like a card like this, we could see maybe red, yellow, Angry offering that additional mobility with stuff like the Fanatics and the Flashwind. So you get the Eel that synergizes with Angry. You also get this card that synergizes with Angry. So yeah, red Rush getting the buff. Red mid-range, angry mid-range, and also potentially red-yellow as well. But yeah, that is it, guys. That is it. That is the conclusion of this card review. Thank you very much for sharing this with me in Twitch chat right now. This is being streamed. It's being streamed live over on twitch.tv/FaeriaTV. So if you haven't already, you know, head over to Twitch and follow that. You can keep up to date on our events. We have tournaments on there. You know, we have Q&As with the devs recently. So lots of live content available for you to check out. So you hit that follow button. You can keep up to date of when we go live over there. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. And it was nice to have the community members, you know, pitch in on their thoughts on the card. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed my initial review of the set. I usually like to play with the cards first before I have my thoughts on them. But it was too good of an opportunity to pass up to do this early on. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy Resurgence when it comes out tomorrow. Hope you guys are excited for all the new cards that we get to play with. It only feels like yesterday that we had the fall of Everlife, but the good guys are fighting back. The Cohens are here, you know, the birds are here, the bird ships. I'm hyped for the bird ships. So I'm really excited to see what we come up with. I want to see Ignace OTK. You get on that, dude. Well, I loved your mill deck. I'd love to see what you can do with Ignace. But thank you very much for everyone tuning in live. Thank you very much to everyone who's watching this on YouTube. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and take care. See you next time.